JoJo's Bizarre Adventure's main genre that advances the story is the supernatural genre. Vampires, zombies, ghosts, spirits, stands. The main plot device of the overall series are the stands, being a representation of the user's soul, oftentimes possessing abilities ranging from simply making people angrier to stopping time, skipping forward in time, destroying matter, almost anything you can think of. Science fiction is not something that you think can apply to the JoJo universe. Science fiction usually has elements like time travel, advanced technology, and aliens. Supernatural and science fiction can be seen as two completely different genres that can't be connected, but what if they can? Through the stands. There's mainly two ways of being a stand user, either having the stand already or being given one. If a user already has a stand, it's usually activated at birth or later on in life, be it from a stressful or dangerous situation or something triggering it, like a blood relative activating their own. The second way is being given a stand. Of course, Enrico Pucci in Part 6 is able to give stands to other people through his disc, like when Emporio took Weather Report's stand disc and is now the user, and in Part 7 when people go through the Devil's Palm and leave with a stand. But the main way, and the most important way of being given a stand, is through the stand arrow. There's multiple throughout the series, even having two types, the second one being the Requiem arrow. These arrows are forged from a meteorite that crash landed in Cape York, Greenland, tens of thousands of years ago. The meteorite had a virus that was lethal to anyone who came close to it, but if you survived being stabbed with the material from it, you'd be granted the stand ability as if the virus rewarded you. In 1978, there was a team that wanted to see if there were any natural resources in the meteor. Two of the men caught some type of illness, with horrible blisters showing up all over their bodies, disfiguring them. Before one of them died, he shot out a bolt of electricity from his fingertips, so hot that it burned off the fingers of the doctor treating him. Later, it was found that they had both contracted a virus from this meteorite that was contained by it all these millennia. A strange man heard about this meteorite centuries before this event. He had craved the power of the gods and crafted 6 arrows from it, 5 stand arrows and a Requiem arrow. These arrows would later on be used by the villains and heroes throughout the series, giving the characters their own stand abilities. You may wonder where the whole science fiction genre comes in about this. The reason why these stand arrows exist are because of aliens. An alien virus gives the person a stand ability if they survive being struck by the arrow and surviving the virus. The virus itself isn't the alien. Viruses themselves can't be, as they're not living organisms. What counts as an extraterrestrial is a living organism whose origin is not from Earth. They're not made up of cells, but they do come from other organisms. The only way for a virus to exist is if it infects an organism. The virus in JoJo couldn't have just evolved on an asteroid because it can't. It had to have come from a living being, from an alien. Aliens are the reason the stand arrows exist, which is crazy because the virus just so coincidentally gives the stand that's pretty much the exact same as if it were natural. The natural stands and the stands that came from the arrows pretty much have no difference at all. They all can follow the rules of stands while also having the exceptions. Just imagine how coincidental this is. An alien virus gives a person the exact same power as a spiritual one. This also gives reason to many theories that people have, like the supposed aliens walking around, like the capo of the crime organization Passione, Polpo, and the alien who landed in the small town of Morio, Mikitaka. Araki didn't answer if Mikitaka is an alien or not, but I genuinely believe that he is one. He takes a lot of inspiration from a Nordic alien and the symbols that he wears on his person, not to mention the fact that he can't see stands and stand arrows literally bounce off of him as if he was immune to it. Stand users can still be affected by stand arrows. Yoshikage Kira was able to gain another ability called Bites the Dust after he was pierced a second time. You can imagine that when a stand user gets pierced by an arrow, especially if they've been pierced before, they're essentially contracting the virus again and it's worsening them, yet giving them a greater reward. But it literally bounced off of Mikitaka as if it repelled off of him, similar to how some animals can be resistant or immune to viruses, like possums having a resistance to the rabies virus. And when a honey badger gets bitten by a venomous snake or stung by a venomous scorpion, it will just straight up sleep it off. Mikitaka said he felt sick and slept for 13 hours, suggesting that maybe his supposed alien biology has some sort of resistance to the stand arrow's virus. There's also Polpo, A lot of people theorize that he's an alien because of two reasons: his apparent shapeshifting and regeneration, and the fact that Black Sabbath has a stand arrow built in. A lot of illusions and sleight of hand moments happen a lot in Jojo, but I completely doubt that Polpo pulled any trick or illusions on Giorno upon first meeting him. Yes, he did shapeshift from a bed and regenerate his fingers that he ate in front of him, but I imagine that he did not do it to trick Giorno, but disturb him in some type of way. It must have been performed from his body. I can't imagine how he pulled off any illusion like that with Black Sabbath. You can theorize that Polpo is an alien and is a shapeshifter like Mikitaka. I personally love that theory. It's too coincidental that even his stand Black Sabbath uses the stand arrow as if he was already familiar with it. Araki mentioned that aliens are barely acceptable in the Jojo universe, even though aliens are the reason for most of the characters and the plot even happening. A lot of fans don't like aliens being in a story, as I've heard people say that they'd be too far-fetched when it isn't far-fetched at all. In part 2, the Pillarmen are basically highly evolved apex predator super vampires that can control their body and look exactly human. In part 8, the rock humans are silicon-based organisms that can shapeshift and also have stands. Yet it's insanely coincidental that some alien virus gives the survivor the exact same spiritual abilities as natural users, but at this point it's not far-fetched at all. The reason why I say Jojo is secretly a science fiction is because that, besides action and adventure, Jojo is also listed to have the supernatural genre. There's no listing of the sci-fi genre. Aliens are from the sci-fi genre, yet they have played such an integral part of the story that the story would basically be a good 90% different without them. And it's absolutely genius too. A lot of people have a hard time imagining both elements of science fiction and supernatural in the same scenario, like an alien spaceship visiting a haunted house. But it can definitely be blended together in a great way. Dandadan does it heavily. It's the main plot of the story. Aliens, cryptids, and spirits. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has this as well. The Shredder in this incarnation is an alien armor constructed by the Krang that is filled with spiritual energy, and it works amazingly. Araki has blended two vastly different genres so amazingly that you don't even consider it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a story about people from all over the world being able to harness their spirits and form a projection of it, being a reflection of their inner selves with abilities that can even devastate the world. A story with spirits, souls, ghosts, and anything supernatural, yet the main reason that most of the story even happened is because of otherworldly events, yet it is barely noticed, which is why JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is secretly a science fiction. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments. I got the links to my social in the description. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching.